Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Movie Goodness, where we examine life through cinema here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and today we're going to get a little messy. Yeah, we're gonna talk around the water cooler today. We're going to discuss the most viral moment thus far in the year 2024, and of course, we going to discuss Katt Williams' interview on Shannon Sharpe's podcast Club Shay, where Katt Williams woke up that morning, whatever morning that was, they decided to record that episode and chose violence. He woke up and just unleashed, and the world is better for it. It is immaculate, if you want to be honest. Not so much that I agree with every single word that came out of Katt Williams' mouth in that interview. He's not the King James version, but it was just funny, and it was hilarious, the reaction that came from this. The aftermath is more entertaining than the actual interview, if in my humble opinion, because, well, we'll get into why I feel that way. But he really hit on a lot of points, and he talked about a lot of people, namely his fellow comedians, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Ricky Smiley, Kevin Hart, and the list goes on and on and on. And one of the things he brought up was Friday After Next, the film that starred Ice Cube, Mike Epps, and I think it's the third film in the Friday franchise. Wasn't the best, but it was it was Katt Williams' first film, and so a lot of drama is surrounding that. A lot of accusations have been thrown out about how he got the role and who the role was supposed to be for. Once again, we're going to dive into all that. And since that film was brought up on that interview on that podcast, that's the film we're going to review, Friday After Next, on the second half of this show. But let me start off by saying this. I'm a huge Katt Williams fan. I love Katt Williams comedy. He is hilarious. And I would probably put him in the second tier, under the GOATs, your Dave Chappelle's, the Chris Rocks of the world, the Eddie Murphys of the world. I'll probably put him in that second tier. And ironically, he's in the second tier with Kevin Hart, who is the, I guess, recipient of a lot of vitriol from Katt Williams. But yeah, I truly enjoy Katt Williams. I've watched all his specials. I've seen a vast majority of his films. He's just one of those guys, that always made me laugh. And when you see him in interviews, the dude is highly intelligent. And if you know his backstory, he is truly a very intelligent man. He's somewhat of a prodigy, the ultra intelligent. And he's no dummy. So that's why when a lot of people are kind of throwing these shots at him for this interview and other interviews in the past, is you really don't know this guy. This guy is not a dummy. He's not a dummy. A lot of the stuff that he says, it was reason behind it. And I think there is a level of truth to what he was saying throughout this interview. Now, like I said, do I believe all of it was true? No, I don't know. I'm not around these people. I couldn't tell you, but some things have been backed up. The internet don't lie. You can look up stuff and see that he has a point to a lot of the things that he was saying on this show. We're gonna go through the entire interview. Well, not the entire, just the messy parts. You know, because I know a lot of people. It went viral. It you know everybody was harping on what he said about Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer and so on and so forth. But in that interview, he spoke a lot about his personal journey. You know, about being 13 years old and uh, uh, going out on his own, being homeless. You know, and stuff like that. It is a lot in that interview. It's a 3 hour long interview, probably 3 hours and something. It's probably longer than that. I can't even remember, but I sat down and watched it like I was watching Killers of the Flower Moon, man. I mean, it was it was an awesome interview. Shouts out to Shannon Sharpe for giving this young man a platform to unleash on. And so let's dive into Katt Williams' interview with Shannon Sharpe on the Club Shay podcast and go over some of the things that he said throughout that interview. The first thing I want to address was he stated on Friday After Next there was a rape scene that was in the original screenplay. The problem with Friday After Next is that they were trying to make a classic comedy, and this comedy involved a rape. And rape is never funny, no matter who it happens to and what the circumstances are. That was a quote from the interview by Katt Williams. And much of the first chunk of the interview involved the casting of Friday After Next, which is our film that we're going to review today, and particularly towards comedian Ricky Smiley, saying he was actually cast as Money Mike instead of Katt Williams. Katt Williams refuted those charges, but recalls urging producers to remove a rape scene from the script, believing it would make the movie 20% funnier if they removed it. Comedians often like to puff up their chest and say that everything can be funny, you know, but this wasn't the case in this matter. It was, and he has a point. That is true. You know, that rape is never funny, no matter what the circumstances are. But Ice Cube did come back and refute that claim, you know, because it was written by Ice Cube, right? Ice Cube wrote all of the Friday films, and he said he never wrote a scene where there was a rape in it. You know, that's not true. In a 9-minute video that he posted on social media, Ice Cube had responded to Katt Williams' claims in that interview and discussed a potential bathroom rape scene in the film Friday After Next, among other topics as well. But in the 9-minute video, Ice Cube stated, "It's been over 20 years since that movie came out, and people have different perspectives." Ice Cube went on to say that he wanted to clarify a few things. Chief among them was that he would film a rape scene after Katt Williams said that he had pushed for the removal of such scene. The scene featuring Katt Williams' character Money Mike cornered in the bathroom by Terry Crews' character Damien. Williams claimed Money Mike in the original script got raped in the bathroom, and that he ultimately advocated for the scene to be cut. Ice Cube took exception to that. He's quoted as saying, "I would never shoot a rape scene in a movie, especially Friday, where you actually see this happening on camera. That ain't my style." He added on by saying the plier joke was always in the script. He would never ever show that. That's not my style. If you look at any of my movies, so that was never a discussion. Ice Cube added that there was a disparity on how he and Katt Williams remembered how it all went down. In another quote, Ice Cube said, "At that point in everybody's career, we will listen to a certain extent, but we wasn't going to change the movie for it. For any actor you know, we do what we feel, and if it was a rape scene, it would have been in the movie. There was no reason not to shoot it. but that's not my style. Addressing another claim by Katt Williams, who said he wrote the part for Mike, Ice Cube clarified that situation. The role was written, but he enhanced it, which is why Katt was so dope in the movie. Money Mike had a small role, about as big as the Santa Claus role, but when we started filming, he was given so much magic that we kept expanding the role and giving him more to do because he was on point. One of the other comedians that that was in Katt Williams' crosshairs in that interview was Cedric the Entertainer. And on Cedric the Entertainer's comedy specials, this is what Katt Williams said. Cedric the Entertainer can't sing, can't dance, and doesn't write jokes. He did 4 comedy specials. They're so bad, Shannon, they're not available on Netflix or Tubi. Can I say it again for the audience? They are so bad that they're not available on Netflix or Tubi. Katt Williams had his knives out for the original Kings of Comedy. Much of his irate stems from what he believes to be the disrespectful treatment of the late great Bernie Mac while Mac was on tour with Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hughley. Apparently, Katt Williams is good with D.L. Hughley. He said he won't tolerate any slander against DL on this podcast or any. And I like DL Hughley, so I kind of echo that sentiment. But he saved his best lines for Cedric the Entertainer, from whom Katt Williams believes stole his very best joke. Cedric denies the allegations, but Katt Williams strongly disagrees. That's when he went on his tirade of how Cedric the Entertainer doesn't have any comedy shows available on Netflix or Tubi. Another comedian that was in his crosshairs was none other than Kevin Hart. Now, this stems for years. I've been hearing them beef for a very, very long time. And when it comes to Kevin Hart, Katt Williams said, no one in Hollywood has a memory of a sold-out Kevin Hart show. There being a line for him, ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that comes to LA and in his first year in LA, he has his own sitcom with a network television and had his own film called Soul Plane that he was the lead in? No. What do you think a plant is? Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it certainly lines up with the type of comedian Kevin Hart is today. There is a commercial, animated movie, crypto, or vegan fast food chain that doesn't bear Kevin Hart's face, name, or likeness on it. This man has more of a commercial actor than a comedian. So I can kind of see where he's kind of on to something there. If we didn't already have a flow, he probably would have that job too. We don't know if he's an industry plant or not. I don't even know if that's an actual thing or not. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anything about that, but he might be on to something. Also, Katt Williams discussed rejecting certain demands in exchange for opportunities, stating in one instance, a disgraced film producer and convicted sexual offender, might I add, Harvey Weinstein, offered to perform oral sex on him, and in another, he rejected sexual favors and turned down a $50 million opportunity to protect his integrity, adding he refused to take shortcuts to success. Now, now that one there, I look, we all know the stories of Harvey Weinstein, what all he did, and how despicable of a human being that individual was or is. He's still alive. He's in prison, thank God. But it's a weird accusation to make, but hey, he said he was going to expose the truth in 2024, so he exposed it. Our next point that he brought up, I'm telling you, man, Katt Williams was on one. He he called out Steve Harvey, alleging him for plagiarism when he basically stole a sitcom from Mark Curry. Now, if you don't know who Mark Curry is, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and it was another show, but it was mainly about hanging with Mr. Cooper. And he stole the premise of that show to create the Steve Harvey show. And he says Harvey couldn't be a movie star because he didn't have range. And he looked like Mr. Potato Head. So that was kind of like far-fetched as well. But when you think about it, if you watched both of those sitcoms, and I watched them both. I watched Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I thought it was a funny show. Steve Harvey show, pretty funny. They are the same show. They are the same show. Now, did he rip them off? I don't know. It's been years. We're talking years since this has happened. And so you didn't hear Mark Curry say anything about it, or nobody else say it there. But at least I have it. And so I don't know if there's any validity to it. But regardless, it is what it is. The Mr. Potato Head thing, that's just funny. That's just a funny line. And he also accused him of wearing a wig. And the reason he says this is because of Mark Curry. Because on that show, on Hanging with Mr. Cooper, he had the flat top fade. And all. So Steve Harvey got a flat top fade. Now, it's alleged that he's wearing a toupee, a wig, in that show. I don't know. I mean, that lining was pretty tight. So I can't say yay or nay to that. But we move on to Katt Williams. He went back in on Ricky Smiley and added that he would only work with Ricky Smiley. He put a clause in his contract. This is the part that I don't too much believe, but he put a clause in his contract that he'll only work with Ricky Smiley going forward if he wears a dress. It's the only way he will work with him. And Tyler Perry couldn't play a man to save his life. Now, if you think about it, Ricky Smiley and Katt Williams did appear in a movie together after Friday After Next, and that was First Sunday, also starring Ice Cube. But yeah, in that movie, Ricky Smiley wore a dress, and so but I think that's just the character. I don't believe the clause thing, because who in their right mind would honor that clause? I just wouldn't be in the movie if he put that in his contract. All right, that's fine. That don't mean I have to be in that movie. I'm not. If I got to be in the movie to wear a dress just so I can be on screen with Katt Williams, I won't be in that movie. Now the Tyler Perry thing, that was hilarious, because Tyler Perry can't act. I think the best thing Tyler Perry has acted in, outside of the Madea films, is Gone Girl. And that was a small part. But aside from that, he can't act. And he does the Madea things fairly well. It's very successful. A lot of people enjoy those movies. I'm not a big Madea Tyler Perry fan. I respect his hustle. I respect his business, but I don't like his movies. I just don't like Tyler Perry movies. I'm sorry. I know that's blasphemy in the black community, but I don't like Tyler Perry movies. But it is what it is. He also claimed, he being Katt Williams, he also claimed he was canceled for talking about accusations against Michael Jackson and R. Kelly because they were black men. But Katt Williams doubled down, stating, "It don't matter if you did it. You was accused by 4 women of sexual assault late last year." Now that's true. That, that's actual fact. And I do remember he was the one going in on Michael Jackson. This is when he was alive. So this isn't Katt Williams just going after the low hanging fruit because the man is dead. He really did go in on Michael Jackson, and he was going in on R. Kelly. Before all of the Surviving R. Kelly documentary and all that stuff came out. So he was the front runner. Like I said, Katt Williams don't care. He's gonna say it. He's gonna speak his truth. Now, whether you agree with his truth or not, that's on you. But the man solely believes it. He believes what he's saying, and he actually can back it up in some instances. So there's that. As I said, a lot of these targets did respond, including Cedric the Entertainer. He had an Instagram comment. He said, revisionist history. Regardless of whatever Katt's opinion, my career can't be reduced to one joke Katt Williams claimed is his. He also called out Katt Williams for, criticized Katt Williams for calling him out in public. He went on to say, all that tough talk is corny AF. And he continues on. My thing about that is, if you read the entire post that he had, he never said he didn't steal the joke. He never once said that he didn't steal it. Actually, you could take that as he did steal the joke. But you got to understand, when it comes to jokes and comedian, it's like stealing money. That's basically what you stole, because your jokes, that's your currency. As a comedian, that's how you get paid. And when you steal it, you stealing money from him. And that's how Katt Williams took it. And so I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds like it sounds like he did. He didn't say he didn't. And so said, I don't know, player. It is what it is. Katt Williams also decided to respond to this talk from Katt Williams on Twitter, or X. He called Katt Williams' comments honestly sad and attached a trailer to his upcoming movie, which is coming out on Netflix, Lift. Smiley said on his radio show on past Thursday, he had no reason to lie about the casting of Friday After Next, stating, there was no way in hell I could have executed that role like that. And I'm glad that they made that decision, Smiley said. It makes me sad the way Katt Williams made my kids feel, but wish Katt Williams nothing but the best. He took the high road there. To wrap up this interview that Katt Williams had with Shannon Sharpe, it wasn't all bad. He had one. Well, not one, but it was one thing that stuck out to me that I felt he was admirable for speaking out on, because you don't hear a lot of people speaking out on it. He struck a more sympathetic tone towards several celebrities, including Taraji P. Henson, who went viral in December for an emotional interview on being underpaid in Hollywood. He called Henson's interview the saddest thing ever, stating, imagine being one of the very top of your lane to the point where if they don't take you for the role, there's not 3 black actresses that they can say are bigger than you. And I thought that was perfectly put. I think that was a beautiful response to that, because the Taraji P. Henson thing, and not just her, they're actresses as a whole, really, but especially black actresses, are severely underpaid in Hollywood. And you can make the argument they're severely underpaid in the workforce, period. And so I can't do anything but tip my hat to him for that. I mean, I am, or should I say, as a father of 2 young black women, I highly appreciate that because I know how tough it is for them and how tough it will be for them going forward. He also chimed in on the Kanye West, the Kanye West thing. He criticized the public for making a spectacle of Kanye West, stating, I suspect that we're pretty awful people if we say that somebody got a mental illness and then we watch what they do. And no truer words have been spoken. That is so true. We all know something's wrong with Kanye West mentally. He has had a severe mental breakdown over the past few years. It's, ever since the passing of his mother. And that's where you can really pinpoint that his mind just broke, man. He went left quick. And he does these things, he says these things, and we all sit there and watch this car crash, and don't do anything about it. And we have to think in the aspect of, what if it's your family member? What if it's somebody close to you? What if it's you? Wouldn't you want somebody to help you if you need help? Wouldn't you want to help your loved ones? And why would you just sit back and watch your loved ones crash and burn? Now, in some instances, we can't help it. We can talk to them. We can suggest help, in which we probably have done, but they still do their own thing or whatever the case may be, and they still do their own thing. And I know it's soul crushing, but in this particular case with Kanye West, and I know you couldn't pick Kanye West out of a lineup, you probably would never see Kanye West walking down the street or going to the store where you live at. But I think Katt Williams was more. He was talking more towards his community, the celebrities who are in contact with Kanye West. So I applaud him for that statement. Well, that podcast for Shannon Sharpe, and God bless Shannon Sharpe. The dude is doing big things right now with this Club Shay. He's on First Take. He has that podcast he does with Chad Ochocinco. He is doing big things and very successful, but nothing was more successful than this episode on his show. It did big numbers and still doing big numbers. I think on YouTube, that particular episode at the time of this recording had 35 million views. 35 million views for that interview. I think it's safe to say it was a success. I know about 1 million of them were probably mine because I watched it. I watched it a few times. It is the most entertaining thing on the interwebs, man. I mean, that interview was gold. To see Katt Williams go scorched earth on his fellow comedians and celebrities and whoever else that he could think of at the moment. But my final thoughts on all this before we get into our review, I think Katt Williams, as I stated earlier in the show, is a very intelligent human being. Very smart fella. He I think this is his truth. This isn't to I don't think he did this for clout, if that makes any sense. I don't think he did this to sell books or, sell his comedy show or whatever the case may be. He just did it to do it. Which leads me to believe that this wasn't about clout or trying to make a name for himself, because he already has a name for himself. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's a scrub here. He just tired of the truth, and he's been saying the same thing for years. This ain't nothing new. He's not coming with anything innovative here. He's been saying these things, especially about Kevin Hart. and about Steve Harvey and all this. I've been hearing him talk about this. Uh, I saw an interview he did a few years ago about Tyler Perry. Saying that he ain't nothing but a drag queen. He this ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. So that's why I feel this isn't anything for notoriety or nothing like that. I think he's just tired. Everybody has their breaking point, and he reached his breaking point, especially when Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey, all these people were on Club Shay with Shannon Sharpe, and they were saying this stuff, and he was like, no, 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 I gotta go. I mean, enough's enough, and he had enough, and I think that's that. Now, like I said, do I believe everything he said? No, no, I don't believe everything I say. So, you know, uh, I'll take it with a grain of salt. But a lot of what he said did pass the smell test for me. It did pass the smell test. So, you know, you got to go with what you know. I mean, for years, a lot of comedians were talking about Bill Cosby. A lot of comedians, and nobody listened until the hammer fell on Bill Cosby, and and now you you don't hear nothing about those comedians saying anything. You've heard people talk about Harvey Weinstein for years. Nobody said nothing until the hammer fell, and voila. And so all I'm gonna say is, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to get it tattooed on your chest. what what Katt Williams said, but just keep it in the back of your mind. Maybe this stuff has some validity to it. Who knows? Me personally, I hope everybody is cool. Why can't we all just get along? Hope it all goes to the wayside. But you know, time will tell. You can only hide from the truth so long. And so there you have it. The Katt Williams interview on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay podcast. Just a few notes from it. We ain't go through the whole thing, the whole 3 hours of that show. We'll be here forever dissecting everything that Katt Williams said on that show. But those were like the biggest points that a lot of people are talking about today. And so let's get into our review. I guess the reason for all this vitriol in some sorts, at least indirectly, it is none other than the 2002 stoner comedy, I guess you could say, directed by Marcus Raboy, Friday After Next. Yes, starring Ice Cube, who also wrote this film, along with Mike Epps, John Witherspoon, R.I.P., Don D.C. Curry, Clifton Powell, Terry Crews in his first role, Ricky Smiley, and Katt Williams in his first role. This is the third installment of the Friday trilogy, as it tells the story of Craig and his cousin Day Day getting jobs as security guards at a shopping center when a robber dressed as Santa Claus breaks into their apartment and steals their presents and rent money that is to be given to their landlady. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Christmas movie. Hey, you want to know something funny? I almost did this review for the Christmas episode last year on Movie Goodness, but I passed on it and did something else. But couldn't get away from it. Here we go. They found a way to squeeze it in on the show. This was the worst of the Friday films. This was how could I put it? Not funny, or not as funny as the first Friday. I mean, the first Friday it's a classic. It is an urban classic. It's a classic. I ain't even gonna take the urban off of it. It's a classic. It is one of the best comedies in recent memory, man. And that movie is about 30 years old. I mean, it is hilarious. And Next Friday, it was all right, but Friday after next was kind of it was, but it had its point. It had its point. Breaking down the cast of this film, starting off with the head poobah, Ice Cube, who also wrote this film as Craig. Uh, He was he was Craig. He was Craig. He's the same in all three of these films. You could probably make the argument that Ice Cube is playing Ice Cube. He's he is who he is, man. But it was consistent throughout the three films. There's nothing really different about the character of Craig. Mike Epps as Day Day. He was funnier in the second Friday. In Friday at next Friday. He was funnier in that one. I did like certain points. Like I said, you could cherry pick through this film and find really good moments, funny moments throughout. I mean, top flight security of the world, Craig. That was a good line. There was some lines spread out that were just hilarious. By Mike Epps, but overall, I think he was funnier in Next Friday as opposed to this film. The late great John Witherspoon as Willie, the father of Craig. It was he became a caricature. He wasn't as funny as well as opposed to the first film. He was unintentionally funny in the first film. Now, as we get to the third installment, it was more forced, and you could tell it just didn't click. Clifton Powell as Pinky. Pinky stole the show in Next Friday. Here, it was more of a glorified cameo. It was all right. I didn't hate it, but it was what it was. Terry Crews is Triple OG. Damon. Once again, first exposure to Terry Crews. He went on to be in White Chicks and many other films, of course, but this was the first time seeing him on screen. At least it was for me. And I loved his character. I loved his character in this movie. And the scene with him and Katt Williams in that bathroom. Oh my God. You want to talk about laugh. Do you want to talk about crying laughing? And that was the best part of the movie. And I loved Terry Crews in this movie. Speaking of Katt Williams, stole the movie. It made him a star in my eyes. And this is what launched my fandom for Katt Williams, was his performance as Money Mike in this movie. The funniest part of the movie, everything he did worked. Everything he said worked. I quoted earlier what Ice Cube said about Katt Williams and his contribution to the character. This was supposed to be like a character to have one scene in the film, and he was so good they just kept adding and adding and adding, and they just put him in the movie more, and it worked. It worked. If it wasn't for Money Mike, this movie wouldn't have worked. It honestly wouldn't have worked. The plot of this was super ridiculous. When you think of the first Friday, with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker, directed by F. Gary Gray, it was a believable plot. That is something that is, something you can see every day. You know what I'm saying? Two losers sitting on the porch and getting in trouble. Smoking weed, getting in trouble. It was just funny. Interacting with others in the neighborhood. A great supporting cast in that film per se. The second one, Next Friday, also a little believable. It was funny. It had a believable plot. Friday After Next, not so much. It was more of a cartoonish version, I felt, especially with the characters. The characters were just far fetched. Money Mike, played by Katt Williams in this film, as hilarious as it was, as scene stealing as that performance was a fantastical character. you know, a pimp that owns a store in this little script ball, which is probably not out the realm of possibility. I just don't know any personally, but it was just weird. It's it was just weird. Uh, the landlady that have has the son that is straight out of prison and walks around like he's still in prison and all this other stuff. It was just fantastical, and it the plot just didn't work. Aside from the fact that it had a few funny jokes in it, it wasn't the funniest of of any comedy, let alone the Friday franchise. I give Friday After Next a letter grade of a D plus. Yeah, it just ain't it, I can other than rewatching it for this review, I can't think of any other time I watched that movie outside of when I went to the theater to watch it. It's very, very forgettable. And as a quote unquote Christmas movie, it's even worse. Anywho's, but that's the review of Friday After Next. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Katt Williams, man. Katt Williams opened 2024 with a bang. Uh, he he really I guess he set the tone for this year. If this is how the year is gonna go, we're in for a treat in 2024, man. Katt Williams went scorched earth on on, on the stand-up circuit, man. Boy, boy, boy. But I would like to know, did you watch the interview on Club Shay with Katt Williams? And what did you think? Did you think it was funny? Did you take it seriously? Or do you think this man is just full of BS? I would love to know. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget to subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Also, everybody, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to movie goodness here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me as we discussed Katt Williams' virtual pipe bomb on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay. And I just want to give a shout out to Club Shay, Shannon Sharpe, for giving us this entertainment that we have been enjoying for the past couple of weeks with Katt Williams in his viral interview. Everybody, I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.